Guys, sorry, there was a technical error. I was trying to get on my computer to do the live, but I will just stay on the phone. So I'll wait and see, have a couple of people join, and then we'll get started. If you are joining in, just go ahead and say hi, or maybe heart it or like the post. Hey everybody, so sorry we're getting started a little bit late. Hopefully, I really wanted to make this live to kind of let everybody know kind of how stillbirth works, how carrying a terminal pregnancy works, and just really how it is. Especially for people that are dealing with loved ones or friends who have lost a child or lost a pregnancy, and maybe how to approach them or what's best. Not necessarily that I can give the advice of how to approach every single person, but maybe how people have approached me or approached Shay that we've liked, or maybe that we go, hey, you know, they might could have approached us this way that maybe would have made us feel better, and stuff that we've learned in counseling that just to maybe help other people and make it not be such a scary topic for anybody involved. Whether you are the parent going through it, or whether you are a friend who has a friend going through it, or whether you are a parent of a child who is going through it, or a parent who has lost someone. So, I just really wanted to hop on here and kind of talk to it and hope that it speaks to someone. If our big thing, Shay and I have decided that we want Hazel's life to matter, and to have made a difference to someone, and that's pretty much the goal every day. Is if we can reach somebody, then we know that she's still making a difference. I'm gonna try not to get emotional. So there's just a couple questions, and I've kind of broken them down, and I'm gonna go through first carrying and embracing like terminal pregnancy. So one of the questions is, what were your first thoughts when you were diagnosed? To be honest, like it was a slap in the face, It's like, holy cow, we're pregnant for the first time, and we are so excited. And then we find out she may not make it. You're like, what? This doesn't happen. Like, you see this in movies. This isn't something that really happens to people, much less you. And so as soon as Shay and I left the doctor's office that day, we said, we are not gonna terminate pregnancy. We're gonna stick this out. We're gonna make it work. And whatever happens, happens. We're gonna trust God, and we are going to do our very, very best to show her as much love as possible for as long as we have her. And that's exactly what we did. And I don't personally regret a single thing. Do I wish I had her? Absolutely. Do I miss her? Every day. Every second. But I do not for 1 second, think that I don't regret doing anything I did during my pregnancy. The other question, or I guess let me finish the first thoughts, just to sum it up in, one. First thoughts. This is crazy. This can't be happening. And we're going to fight with all of our power to give her the biggest and most life possible in whatever time frame we have it. Whether that's 2 days, 2 months, or 2 years, or even longer. We were going to give her as much life as possible. Sorry guys. So the second question is, how do you choose to carry versus terminate? And that's a good question. And when you are diagnosed, you're sitting there and you've got doctors that are saying, hey, you may want to think about termination. You're like, terminating a pregnancy. To me, that truly is something that is against all of my beliefs. I remember vividly the day that I took my very first pregnancy test, and I could not in a million years terminate a pregnancy. Personally, if you do, that is totally, I know there's plenty of people on couple of different Facebook pages that I've been on, and if that is something that you have to do, that's yeah, I get it. I understand where everybody comes from, but personally, I can't. And so when we were faced with the fact that, do you continue or do you terminate? It wasn't a question. I didn't have to think about it. I immediately said, I'm not terminating. We're going full force. We're in this, we're doing it. And Shay, luckily, he was on board too. He felt the same exact way I did and did not have to skip a beat and say, we're going. We're along for the ride with our Hazel bug. We're gonna do whatever we gotta do. And it's been a ride, but it's been fun. Fun because we got to have a daughter. Another question is, did you have a normal pregnancy otherwise? I guess normal pregnancy. Normal pregnancy, yes, in a way. I was extremely sick throughout the whole pregnancy. I don't think I left the house but to go to the doctor and come home. And about 30 or 40 hospital visits. But it's okay. We made great friends at the hospital, nurse practitioners that absolutely fell in love with us, fell in love with Hazelbug. They liked watching her grow too, which was fun. But of course it kept me healthy, it kept her healthy while she was growing. So other than Hazel being sick, I was sick, but I'll take it. I'll take it a million years. Just because I got to grow her. So another question was, how did you cope with the fact that you may not bring your baby home? That was hard. It hit me really, really hard at the beginning. And I was like, this is crazy. What am I doing? What am I doing? And I'm like, no. You're doing everything you're supposed to do. You are, you're following whatever the plan is. And it was rough. Once I hit 20 weeks, which was a huge milestone for me, I couldn't wait to get to 20 weeks because it was so close to viability, and I was like, we've made it. We've made it. Once we're halfway, we're going to get there. And, sorry. And so once we hit 20 weeks, I got this switch, and it went off, and I was like, holy cow, we are here. We are so gonna make this. Hazel's she's fighting so hard. She's fought so hard, and we are going to, we're gonna do this. I really, truly thought after 20 weeks that we were gonna bring her home. I had no idea, especially how it happened, which I'll get to, but especially how it happened. It was, I really thought we were bringing a baby home. We had even started buying even more for her nursery, and I thought we were bringing a baby home. So another question was, what was your pregnancy like? And that kind of goes with did you have a normal pregnancy? Pregnancy was hard. Pregnancy was really, really hard. Goodness, I even told Shay, I was like, I don't know if Hazel's going to get a brother or sister. Because it whooped my butt. It did. I gained a lot of weight. I threw up everything I ate. She had about 3 things that she would eat. Breakfast, she would only keep down McDonald's hash browns. Only. She would only keep down Coke. Sometimes water, but not often. And chicken nuggets from McDonald's. She loved chicken nuggets from McDonald's. That was my diet for 24 weeks. I have to say I have not been back to McDonald's since because I am so over McDonald's hack and scream. But hey, if she'll eat it, she'll eat it. So that's what I did because I was like, I'm her mom, I've got to feed her. And she would literally send up anything before with it was not a hash brown or a chicken nugget from McDonald's. Chicken nuggets from Wendy's? Nope, didn't want them. Only McDonald's. It was crazy. So that's those are the questions that I have that I had received for carrying and embracing a terminal pregnancy. I do want to touch really quick on embracing. So when I talked a little bit about when I hit 24 weeks, that I got, this switch went off, that I was like, holy cow, we're going to make this. And I really fell in love with being pregnant. I think it was because I knew that it wasn't, or I don't want to say wasn't going to last, but potentially had, maybe not last. I fell in love with my belly. I fell in love with my stretch marks. I fell in love with, everything. When I would throw up, I'd be like, Hazelbug, you're killing me. I even found joy in that because I was really trying to love every little detail of my pregnancy so that I would treasure it and so that I would have memories of what it was, because it was hard. But that's all I have now. I don't have a baby to look at and go, oh my goodness, it's worth it. Now I have to go, okay, my stretch marks, they're killing me. I don't look like the 18-year-old that I did when I went to the beach when I was 18. But I had these for a reason, And the reason I had these is because I grew a wonderful little girl. It was super stinking cute. But that's just me because I'm biased. So, it was hard to embrace pregnancy. Knowing that you may or may not, but that was one of the best things for me. And that's one of my biggest advices to moms that are going through it, is that, hey, love as much of it, and I know it's hard. It's so hard to hear that and to say that, but truly, truly love as much of your pregnancy as you possibly can, through the bad times, through the excruciating doctor's visits where you're like, holy moly, if I hear one more doctor telling me that she's not going to make it, or that I need to terminate, like, I'm going to scream. I'm going to pull my hair out of my head. Because I was there. But I was like, okay, okay. And I would just go, because I was like, she's got this. Like, I am her mama. She's got this. I don't know. So I want to talk a little about, I've got the questions written down, so sorry if you heard the page turn. I want to talk a little bit about stillbirth and what it's like before and after. Sorry. So one of the questions to lead us into this was, how did you find out Hazel had become an angel? This one was hard. This one might be hard, so I'm sorry if I get a little emotional. I'm trying really hard to remain as strong as possible for everybody. So we went to bed on the Thursday night. She was kicking. She was doing great. She loved juice too. I forgot about juice. But we had juice that night, and she was kicking, and she was having the time of her life. I was up. Shane went to bed. He had to go to work that morning. And I was up, and I was watching Netflix, because that's something that Hazel and I had done. And for some reason, I just could not get tired. It was weird. I was like, what is going on with me? Why am I not getting tired? It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I have not slept yet. Like, this is crazy. But, whatever. So I eventually just said, forget it. Let's turn off TV. Let's go to bed. Like, we got to go to sleep. Hazel she was just moving around. Shay had felt her kick before he went to bed. He had told her good night. All that good stuff. The normal stuff that he would do. And Friday morning we get up, and Shay he was on call that weekend. So he was going in later at the hospital. So Friday morning we get up. It was probably 9 or 10. We get up, and we had made a pact whenever we found out Hazel was sick that we were going to check her heartbeat every day. So that was something we did every morning before he went to work. And he was getting ready to leave that morning, and I was like, let's check Hazelbug's, let's check her heartbeat. And it was really fun because you could check her heartbeat, and like you could hear it would accelerate whenever, sorry guys, I was turning my phone. it would accelerate whenever Shay talked to her, which was the silliest thing ever. He would start telling her he loved her, and she would just, like, the heart rate would go skyrocket. My mom would talk to her about hair bows, and it would skyrocket. It was precious. She loved her daddy. Still loves her daddy. Happy Father's Day too, babe, by the way. Anyways, so we checked her heart rate, and I couldn't find it. It wasn't that abnormal for her to literally play like it was a giant swimming pool in my belly. And sometimes it was hard to find her heartbeat immediately. So I really wasn't concerned. Shay was kind of like, is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, she's just moving around, or she's like tucked herself in somewhere, like she's fine. And I was like, here, I got this. I was like, let me drink some grape juice. She hated the cold, but she loved the juice. So I was like, hold on, let me drink like cold grape juice and she will be just fine. So I drank the cold grape juice, did the heartbeat, still couldn't find it. I was like, this is so weird. Like, what is she doing? Why is she hiding from this? Like, I know she loves the juice and I know she loves the cold. Like, what? And I had been laying down on the couch, and I was like, maybe if I stand up, I can get her at a better angle and move her or something. So I was like pressing really hard on my belly, trying. I was like, girl, wherever you're at, come on, get out of here so we can take your heartbeat. So we literally did this for about an hour. Because I was like, her not being there anymore was the furthest thing from my mind. The absolute furthest thing from my mind. And after about an hour, I called our doctor. He didn't answer, which, I mean, I'm sure he's with the patient. And his nurse texted me right away, and she was like, is everything okay? And I was like, I can't find Hazel's heartbeat. She was like, coming now. So we literally left. We had already had bags packed for the hospital since about 17 weeks. So we grabbed our bags. We actually took 2 cars. Shay took, because our doctor was downtown and was about 5 minutes from Shay's work. So I drove my car. He drove his car, because he was like, I'm going to work after this. Like, she's fine. She's totally fine. So I'm going to work. We got there, and they did the ultrasound, and there was Hazelbug. She was an angel. That heartbeat that we had grown to love, and we love listening to and love seeing tick on the screen, was still. She was an angel. And our doctor, Dr. Brody, who is amazing, and I love him dearly, is like, I'm so sorry. And at that point, of course, when I don't even think I cried. I really don't. I don't think I cried for a little bit. And then it really hit me. And we walked out of the room. Becky was in there. His nurse was in there with us. And I walked out, and I told our favorite ultrasound tech, Angela, who loved watching Hazel grow up. And I told her, I was like, Hazel's an angel. And it was, it was then that it really, really hit. And I was like, holy cow. She's really gone. But she was still in my belly, so it didn't fully register because she wasn't gone. Like, I still had her. So it took a little bit. We went to the hospital immediately, which was about 20 minutes from his office. Or not 20 minutes, it was about 5 minutes from his office. So we got to the hospital really quick. And that was one thing that we wanted, because we knew of the changes and things whenever a baby had passed. We had just sort of started preparing ourselves for that. And so we got to the hospital fairly quick because we wanted it to be as quick a process as possible. And this sort of leads me into the other question, was what was the induction or birth like? And that was hard, There was another part of the question was, how did the hospital act, and are there differences between regular and stillbirth inductions? The induction was hard because I knew that I was going to be the end. There was going to be no more Hazelbug in my belly. There was going to be no more kicks. And so it was hard mindset wise. But other than that, it was the same thing as a regular birth or as a regular induction. I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat after you got induced. Pain management wise, all that was the same. The epidural, which I'm on blood thinner, so I had to wait for my epidural for 24 hours. And you think, holy cow, like you're not gonna be in labor 24 hours, but Hazel she took a little while. But so when we got to the hospital, they were waiting on us, and a lot of people had known about Hazel's story and followed Hazel's story. So we had a lot of people that knew us at the hospital that kind of came up and talked to us and just said how sorry they were and stuff like that. We luckily had Hazel before COVID and everything came into effect, so we were able to have basically as many family and friends as we wanted there. Shay was able to have all of his family. I was able to have all of my family, and honestly, we had them all in there at the same time. It kind of looked like a concert. We had the world's best photographer, I swear. She was there literally the entire labor. Love Brianna dearly. And we had a bunch of paperwork to fill out ahead of time. They were like, you can do this now or you can do this after birth. Well, after birth, we wanted to have as much possible time with Hazel. So we decided to do all the paperwork ahead of time. And that was rough too. You know, nobody expects to have to fill out a death certificate for their baby before they give birth. Nobody expects to have to sign funeral papers before they give birth. What else did we? It was the death certificate that we had to fill out and both sign. The funeral papers, like stuff on autopsy and all this kind of stuff, and you're like, holy cow, like, you know, this is supposed to be such a happy experience, and you're in there where you can hear other babies cry, and you're in there where you can hear everything of the normal labor and delivery ward. You look over and you see the teeny tiny little baby bed, and you're like, you should be in that, right? So it's rough. You know, it's really rough because the birthing process for a stillbirth is the same exact birthing process as a regular birth, and there are just so many differences. And so, though, you know, those are hard. It's rough. Another question is, after birth, how much time do you get, and do you have to spend all that time with the baby? So after birth, we gave birth at Erlanger. After birth, as far as time with Hazel we were able to have as much time as we wanted. Or as little time as we wanted. We opted to have as most time as we could have. They have a really cool thing called a cuddle cot, and we used that up. She stayed by my bed the entire time. Shay got the lovely hospital couch that he fell in love with and wanted one for our house. Just kidding. So we had the cuddle cot that I kept. It's sort of like a refrigerator. It has an ice pack on the bottom of the bed for the baby to lay on when the baby's in there. So the baby, it minimizes changes after death. And to me, it was helpful. It was therapeutic. Because I did get sort of that experience, if you will, on having my baby after birth. So I got to have her in the room with me. I got to, have her by the bed with me when I woke up. She was there. And I really, really liked that. And, but as far as if you are a mother of a stillbirth or of a stillborn, you do not have to have the baby in the room the whole time. You can let them know whenever you want, if you go, okay, this is enough, like I need closure, or I want to sleep, but we don't want baby in here right now. They can take baby away, and they can bring baby back whenever, if you want more time later. They will not take baby to the morgue until after you've been discharged from the hospital. So if you change your mind in between that time period that you're admitted, you can totally have as much time as you want. And that was one thing that I truly advocate for, is truly give yourself as much time as possible. Because it was helpful, and we were able to get pictures and love on her and kiss her and change outfits and change hair bows and paint her nails, paint her toenails, and all that fun stuff. Of memories that I won't get. So having her was really, really helpful. And the cuddle cot is truly, truly amazing. So it says, another question is, what happens after birth? After birth, still is sort of the same thing, or it is the same thing as a regular birth. You know, it's everything. You've got to give birth to the placenta. You've got all of your regular things that you would have with a regular birth. You've got it. You've got your, any possible tears. If you have a C-section, you've got to have recovery from that. Recovery is the same thing. Recovery stinks. And when you get home, you don't have a baby. When they wheel you out and you've got a belly, you don't have a baby. You've got to deal with, you've got every bit of a regular recovery you got to deal with. And you've got to have, but you don't have the baby. Your milk may come in. And so that's another huge slap reminder that you're going, holy cow. I've got food for my baby, but I have no baby. So, after birth is hard too. It's a huge, you wish that whenever you have, not wish, but when you have a stillbirth and you're like, okay, no more. But then you're through it. You've got the rest of those recovery aspects and normal birth aspects that you would have, but you don't have baby. And so it is a slap in the face, in that sense, because you're like, what else? What else are we going to get? And it's hard. And then not to mention, you've got if you have complications, which I had complications, I had two different complications, that it's rough. But again, saying that, I wouldn't change my experience for the world. I'm just saying that it is rough. And going through a stillbirth is no different than going through a regular birth, other than the fact that your baby isn't there with you. But so if you know a stillbirth mama, they're a mama. They're a heck of a mama. Because they've had a baby, and they've been through the same process as every other mama, but they don't have baby to have in their arms to watch, to grow up, and to love. Oh, sorry guys. So, moving on to how to approach a mother of a grieving child or a family member of a grieving child. I can more speak to a mother and a father side, but maybe I can, sort of ballpark, a better way to maybe approach somebody, or how to go about maybe approaching somebody. So, one of the questions was, what is it like talking about Hazel to people? I love talking about Hazel to people because Hazel's my daughter. So when I meet somebody, I'm like, oh, you have a daughter. I try to ease it into the conversation a little more than, because when they ask, how old is she? And I'm like, and I don't want to shut people down, because that's how you scare people away, because they're like, ooh, I don't know how to approach somebody. I don't know how to respond to that. But I love talking about Hazel. I love when people ask, anything in using her name, because she was here. She was alive in my belly. She was born. She was 1 pound 6 ounces. She was a teeny tiny little angel, but she was Hazel. And so I truly I love it. And you may have moms or dads or family members who don't want to talk about their baby just yet, and that's okay too. because everybody's going to grieve differently. Everybody's going to have taken everything in differently, and that's okay. Kind of see where that person is at. And if they're mentioning the baby's name, then you mention the baby's name. But I can guarantee you that hearing about the baby and hearing about, what they're going, just hearing about their baby and hearing about their baby, you speak by the name. And it's not just a baby. It's not just a pregnancy. It's Hazel, or it's whatever their baby's name is, because that's what it is. Another question was, what do you find most therapeutic? This one's hard. Therapeutic is, because one thing works one day and it doesn't work the next day. So I can read a book one day and the next day I'm literally bawling my eyes out and I'm like, what in the world? How did I do this yesterday? Or I can talk about her until midnight one night and the next day and I'm like, what? How in the world did I do this? Personally, I have found my tattoo, which I think a lot of you have seen, but I will show it to you now. My tattoo on my arm is of Hazel Bug's heartbeat from 20 weeks. Which, of course, if you've been watching the live, you've known that 20 weeks was a big milestone for me. I was super excited for 20 weeks, and so her heartbeat seemed fitting. I look at her heartbeat at least 500 times a day, minimum. I truly, truly love looking at her heartbeat because it reminds me of the life that was in my belly, that was inside me, that I grew. It reminds me of my daughter, and I love it. I had told myself since I was a kid, I was like, I'm not getting a tattoo. Nothing against them, I just didn't want them. And when Hazel was born, I was like, I'm doing this. I am doing it. And I went back and forth on what I wanted, whether I wanted her feet print, whether I wanted her birthday, and the heartbeat was something that I just absolutely loved, and that's what I got. And I definitely don't regret it at all, because that is one thing that is truly therapeutic, because it reminds me of the life that she lived. And so that's a huge therapeutic thing for me. I've read a couple of books. I'm working on one right now. It's I'll Carry You in My Arms, or hold on just a second. Babe, what is it called?
I Will Carry You.
I Will Carry You, sorry. And that's about a mom who has lost a baby as well. And that book, it's good. It's hard. If you've lost a baby, it's hard. I can't speak to everybody, but I'd have to take breaks. Right now I'm on like a 4-day break because it's rough. Because everything that the author says, you're like, oh, you feel it. You feel it hard. And you're like, whoa, I lived through this. I know where she's coming from. I got this. And it really, it's like she's really speaking what you're thinking, and you're like, holy moly. And so that is hard. So if you are a mom of a stillbirth or of a baby that you've lost, that's good. It's a great book, but you will just beware and do take breaks. Other things that I find therapeutic are just truly talking about Hazel and, going through pictures of her and reminiscing, and you're like, oh, look at this. Hey, do you remember, do you remember when we painted Hazel's toenails? Or do you remember when we did this to Hazel? Or do you remember when Hazel was in this outfit? Or do you remember when Hazel kicked this one time that it was her first time that she kicked and you felt it, Shay? So there's a lot of different ways that you can find things that soothe you a little bit. And they may not work from day to day. And they definitely don't work from day to day on me, because it's all over the place sometimes. I'm like, holy cow. I really wish this, whatever I did yesterday worked today, and it doesn't. And, we were seeing a counselor there for a little while, like a grief counselor for a little while, that the hospital had set up for us. And that was great. And then COVID came around and we couldn't go to the grief counselor anymore. And, but she was extremely nice, and she was extremely helpful. It was through Hospice of Chattanooga. And she was extremely sweet, and she talked, and she gave us a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff that I still use today. She says, you're gonna have these moments where you see a pregnant person in public and you're like, that should be me. And I do. I try really, really hard not to be selfish and to remember that she had, I have a path, and then Hazel had a path. But you do. You see, or moms of, that have lost babies, they see other babies and they're like, oh, I wonder if Hazel would have grown up to look like that. And it's hard, and you're like, holy cow, ton of bricks just hitting you. She's also, she gave us the option, or she gave us the idea of going out of town for Hazel's due date. And that was good, because we were able to get out of here, get out of the house, spend time together, and go somewhere that we wouldn't have gone otherwise. And that's a good thing. If I know that I have a lot of friends that are parents of stillborn, and some of them haven't met their due dates yet. And I do encourage you, for your due date, I do highly encourage you to go out of town, go rent an Airbnb in your town, get out of your house, that way you're escaping. If you do have a nursery set up, you're escaping that. You have just time to not necessarily think about the situation, but you have time to sort of reset and sort of think of the situation in a different context, maybe. Because it was helpful. It's not that I forgot about Hazel. It's not that I was like, oh, okay, I can escape everything, that was in Chattanooga. I can escape Hazel being gone. No. But it helps, it helps me appreciate things that are out there. I look at a sunset and I'm like, Hazelbug, is that you? You see a red bird. Hazelbug, I see you. So you're able to appreciate things in a different setting that may be signs to me, maybe signs from your loved one. So another question is, what's the best way to approach someone who has lost a baby or a child? This one goes sort of back to saying her name. Say the child's name. Speak of the child in not necessarily past tense, but just let them know that that their life, they lived. They were here, and maybe you remember, tell them what your favorite memory of it was. I remember when I saw you pregnant and you looked like a whale. That was me towards the end. But, say whatever there's ways. Shutting someone out who is lost is hard, because you already feel a little alienated, because people don't know how to talk to people who have gone through this level of grief. So you already feel like, okay, this is a lot. But when you have somebody that approaches you and they're like, Hazel was beautiful, and you're like, thank you, because you've paid attention. You've paid attention. My daughter existed. You've acknowledged my daughter existed, and you've acknowledged that I'm a mom. And that's huge. It really is. It really, really is big. And I made a big post about it whenever Hazel had just been born. And I was like, if you see us in public, say her name. Talk to us about her. Ask us, I'm sorry about Hazel or something, but use her name. Use her name to let us know that that she existed. And it really does help. Another question, and this is kind of where I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to look through the live feed and see if there's any questions on here that I have missed. And then if you have a question, totally feel free to ask me, and I will totally answer them. So this last question is, how can I help someone I know who has suffered a loss? The biggest thing is being there without smothering. Because being there for someone is important. You want them to know that you love them. You want them to know that they have a huge support system. You want them to know that you are there for them at any time of day, any time of night, like you're on it. That's big. But it's hard when you've lost someone, especially when you've lost a baby that, you know, was in your belly, and so you've had to go through this whole long process. And so a lot of people, and me, really just, they want that space after. One of the biggest things that I kind of cling to was I loved knowing that I had this support system. It was great. But really the main thing that I wanted was Shay. You know, my mom would be like, hey, we're coming over, or, you know, you want us to come over? And I'm, not right now. You know, it's not because, okay, they don't want to see you, or they're really, really depressed and you need to be worried about them, because that's a huge thing too. But it's just, they may want to have that time alone, because there was plenty of times that I would go in Hazel's nursery right after she was born, and I was just I'd sit there. Shay would be like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm good. But I need to sit here and I need to process it in my ways. And so the biggest way to help somebody who has suffered the loss is truly being there, but also giving them their space. You know, let them know, send them a text every day, just once a day, you know, that says, hey, I'm here for you. If you need me, I've got you. To let them know I'm thinking about you, I love you dearly, and I am here. But that once a day also gives them that space to cope, that space to grieve, and that space to learn about what their new life is really going to be. Because you never, you know, some people who have lost a fetus or a baby, or even a child as they get older, some people are like, you know, or some people are done. You know, some people are like, we're not going to try again. And so they've got to really cope with that new life of, okay, you know, this was our last child, and we're not having any more. Or some people have got to go, okay, where are we at next? Or some parents waiting on autopsy results. And when they get those, that's kind of an open wound again, because you're like, okay, holy cow, this is what happened. Was this something that we were thinking was going to happen? Was this something that was truly a terminal pregnancy? Was it something that just happened just to happen? And so it takes a lot. It takes a whole lot to really be there for somebody, and it's a long road. I'm by no means at the end of the grievance road. I'm by no means fully healed. I cried daily. But it's okay. Let them cry. Because it's part of it. It's part of it. Let me scroll through here really quick and see. I know I've seen a couple of questions. Okay, so I have a question. It says, what about the rainbow baby? Any news about Hazel becoming a big sister yet? We did go through all the genetic testing, and while I tested positive for a condition a disease called Gaucher disease, Shay did not test positive for that. So that's huge news. That's awesome news. The Gaucher disease could cause hydrops in a fetus, which is one of the main things that Hazel had. Hazel had a cystic hygroma and the hydrops. The hydrops is what is most fatal. A cystic hygroma is that's not itself fatal, but it normally comes kind of as a marker for another condition. But Hazel had no other condition. So my test doesn't lead us to the answers as to what caused Hazel, or what caused Hazel to have the hygroma and develop the hydrops, but it helped us to kind of navigate and go, okay, is it going to happen again? So since Shay tested negative, that leaves us with since I am positive, the genetic counselors told us it leaves me with a 1 in 1,000th chance of a baby developing Gaucher disease from my positive gene. It seems like a lot. It seems like, oh, that's a really big chance, but holy cow, when you've lost a baby, you're like, jeez. Is it worth it? You know, do we go through it again? But Shay and I have decided that we're on it. We're doing it. You know, we're gonna put our cane faces on, and we're gonna do this again. And hopefully Hazel will be a big sister, soon. And we're going for it. Because, you know, 1 in 1,000th of a chance, like, that's a huge chance. And it does seem like a lot, but it really, you know, in the grand scheme of things, you're thinking it's really not. But we you know, we're excited. We're excited we know that she's watching over us. And so on that front, yes, we have been cleared medically that we are able to start trying again. We are excited. So, let's see. Let's see if there's any other questions. I don't see. Does anybody else have any other questions about anything before I come off of here? And just one thing I have noticed about since this journey started in November of last year, started right after my birthday. And since this journey started, I had no idea how many moms go through this. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a whole lot. You have... It really, it's unbelievable. People don't talk about it. A lot of people don't talk about it. But it is an unbelievable amount of people who have lost a child, whether it be a miscarriage in an early term, like a first trimester miscarriage, whether it be a second trimester and they still call those miscarriages, whether it be a stillbirth or whether it be a third trimester loss. There are a lot of moms who have suffered loss. And it shouldn't, my biggest advice is that it shouldn't be a subject that you're scared to talk about. Because these moms are always going to be moms. They have grown life in their belly. They have very likely they have very likely had all of, they were pregnant. This baby lived. And that's huge. Be there for a mom. Be there for a mom. If you know that there has been any type of loss, be there for them. Let them know that we know your baby lived. And some people may not be at the stage that they know if it's a boy or a girl and they have a name picked out. But it doesn't make them any less of a mom. It doesn't make them any less of a dad. They were still a mom. And they may have had a list as long as my dining room table full of names picked out already and baby clothes picked out and nursery stuff in their cart on Amazon. Because I know I did. Who thinks of stuff like this? Nobody. But I know, and it takes me time. It took me a little bit of time to realize that even though those things happen, I'm still a mommy. I'm still Hazel's mommy, and I always will be Hazel's mommy. I may have to, her birthdays are going to look different because I'm not going to see her grow. But I always have my 1 pound, 6 ounce Hazel bug. And I'll always have those pictures of my Hazel bug. And I'll always love my Hazel bug. And that's just how every other mom has felt. They will have those pictures, they will have those memories, and they will always have their baby that they've grown in them, that they will have to cling to. And one of my favorite things to tell people, because somebody said it to me, and I don't remember who, but somebody told it to me, and that's one of my favorite things to reach out to moms who have lost a baby, is your baby is the only person that's heard your heartbeat from the inside. And that is something that's the coolest thing in the world to me. Because it is. Anybody can lay on your chest and hear your heartbeat from the outside. A doctor can listen to it, but your baby is the only person that's been that close to your heart on the inside. and they love you more than anything in the world. Thank you guys for watching. If y'all have any other questions after this, I will answer them on a comment, and y'all can kind of keep through. Feel free to share this around. And love on a mommy who's lost a baby. Love on your babies that you have with you today. Love on them tight. Give them a hug and a kiss, and tell them how much you love them and how much they mean to you. Bye, guys.